Siyata Dishmaya, we are in Parashat Toldot. We're learning some gems from Breslev, from Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Natan in order to bring down some of the ideas, right? A few of the small ideas in this parasha. Obviously, we have here the offsprings of Yitzchak, right? And Rivka, they got married, they're having babies, they have twins, they're back and forth, they're fighting inside the stomach, and pretty much the upbringing of Yitzchak of Esav and Yaakov, to a point that they get to a fight and they have to separate, right? But for the first 15 years of their life, they were twins. They were pretty much the exact same being. The differences started to come down. And obviously the main topic of this parasha is the selling of the birthright, right? And it says at that point, exactly, for lentil soup. So Esav was out in a day of killing and murdering and raping, and he came back and he was very hungry, and it was the day that Yaakov Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu were preparing for the burial of Avram. So that Avram Avinu was going to pass.
Morning soup, yeah.
So his soup, exactly, lentils is more of a morning food usually. And Yaakov was preparing it for him, for his father Yitzchak, to mourn his grandfather. And Esav comes back and he says to Yaakov, Halit'eni na min ha'adom ha'adom hazeh. Give me please from this red thing, from this red soup. Halit'eni is a way of eating where it pretty much is like pour it down my throat, like a camel. You open up your jaw and just pour it down.
The Midrash is he just finished killing Nimrod too, right?
Exactly. He was there and he just killed Nimrod. He took his cloak. He took a whole bunch, right? So it says there, Rabbi Nachman says about this in Chayei Me'oran, in the life of Rabbi Nachman. It says like this: Haliteni na min ha'adom ha'adom hazeh. הזהיר שלא לאכול בהלטה, היינו במהירות כדרך גרגרן, כי זהו בחינת הליטני נא וגומר. Rabbi Nachman was very careful about how to eat. He warned his students, do not eat in the way of this haliteni, pour it down my throat, meaning don't eat in a fast way, like a person who's just gobbling down food. Eat in a more calm, collected way. Eat in a more calm, collected way that the food can come down with patience, with ishuv adat, with a settled consciousness, b'derech eretz, with table manners, with politeness, chew your food. K'derech she'ochlim b'derech eretz, she'yoshev adam chashuv al shulchan, like you would eat with manners if there was an important person on your table. Kach yochal tamid afilu k'she'ochel levado. That's how you should eat always, even if you're eating by yourself. Eat with table manners. Eat with derech eretz. Eat with patience. Okay. Now to continue on this idea of the same pasuk, Haliteni na min ha'adom ha'adom hazeh. Talk about what is actually going on with some pnimiyut, some internal aspects of the birthright and the firstborn. כשזוכין שיתגבר המוח על הכבד, when you merit that your brain overcomes and is more intense and more in rule than your liver. It's known, right? Just to give us an introduction here. We want to be like a melech. What's a melech? A king. How does a melech act? It's moach, lev, kaved. Brain, heart, liver. Meaning, first things first, I think about exactly what is going on here, and also those are also the resting places of your neshama, your ruach, and your nefesh, right? So first things first, what is the neshama level? What is the proper thing on the level of intellect? Is this the right thing that I should be doing? Is this beneficial for my neshama? And only after that do I bring into account my emotions about the thing, right? And only after that do I think, maybe is it good for my body or not, right? But first things first, neshama, emotions, thoughts, emotions, and then body. The opposite of that is what's called klum. Klum in Hebrew means nothing. The opposite of a king is a nothing, right? You want to think first about is this good for my body? Is this good for my emotions? and then only is it proper for my neshama. That is the opposite process that we don't want to fall into that. So we want to be melachim. So Rabbi Nachman says, Haliteni na min adom hazeh, right? That obviously, what was he thinking about first? Pshat, before we even go into the Torah. He was like, I need to eat, I'm starving, I just had a long day of work in the field, give me food. Okay, give me your birthright as a neshama. Yeah. Sell away all the rights that you got when you got your neshama. And he did it without thinking too much, right? So Esav was in this backwards state. And let's see what Rabbi Nachman says. When you merit that your moach, your intellect, rules over your liver, this is what's called the holy birthright. The firstborn of Israel. Right? Am Yisrael is called the firstborn. Right? We have the birthright out of all nations. We are called the firstborn, and that is the aspect of the moach. This is the main aspect of the true firstborn birthrights. Which is this aspect of the brain, which is Reshit, right? Which is the first of the first. The opposite, God forbid, when you blemish the lust of eating, right? The lust to eat, and anger, until your liver is now the one that's most in charge. This is the firstborn, this is the birthright of Esav. And by way of this, you have all of the exiles. Firstborn, this birthright is the aspect of Malchut, of kingship. Like it's written in the Likutei Moharan 56. And it says in Tehillim 89, Afani Bechor etneu. Even me, the Bechor, I will give. כשמתגבר מלכות דקדושה של ישראל, זה מבחינת בכור דקדושה, וכן להפך חס ושלום. When the malchut דקדושה, holy malchut, holy action in this world, overcomes, right, and that's in power, that is what's called Israel, which is Bechor D'Kedusha, which is the firstborn of sanctity, and also the same thing is true on the other side, God forbid. Al ken natan Yaakov le'Esav lechem u'nezidat hashim. Therefore, Yaakov gave Esav bread and this lentil soup. V'yochal v'yesht v'yivez Esav et ha'bechora. He ate and he drank and he disgraced, meaning he put down Esav. He put down this birthright. Haynu sheYaakov shavar v'silek miYisrael ta'avat achila. Meaning, what does this pasuk mean? V'yochal v'yesh v'yivez Esav et ha'bechora. Israel, Am Yisrael, right? Yaakov helped to break from Israel this ta'ava of achila, this lust for eating. Rak natan kol ta'avat achila le'Esav. Ve'Esav kibel zot lechelko. He gave all of this. V'yochal v'yesh v'yivez Esav. He gave eating and drinking and the disgrace to Esav.
Wow.
Esav received this from us, right? And now it became his portion. Shuim ele ta'avato b'achila u'shtiya b'zeh ha'olam. Baz b'zeh ha'olam. Right? So let Esav be busy with eating and drinking in this world. And by way of this, then he did a transaction backwards and he gave over the firstborn rights, which is a spiritual thing, to Yaakov. Esav, the second he agreed to that deal, he took himself out from the brain, which is left it completely to Israel. He removed himself from the brain. He detached himself from the brain portion.
Can we connect this to his head being put in? We have to wait for
there
that?
You could see. I don't know. Maybe we'll bring here, but even there, it says that, right, that his head. Why was his head? What merit did he have?
1/7 was good, right?
Because he respected his fathers. He had a kivud aveim. Because he respected his father, Avram and Yitzchak, then he merited to that, right? So they're the Reshit. They're the first of Israel. You could say it there a little bit. Kishuv en lo shum chelek behem. Again, Esav has no portion anymore in Israel. From the second he sold away this birthright and he took himself out of the brain of the world. But after him having so much of a ta'avat achila, so much of a lust for eating, he took himself out of that, right? And so to say, the food and the eating was given to Esav. When does Esav, again, which is, we're reading here about history, so to say, in Pshat, but everybody has Esav inside of them. Everybody has Yaakov inside. So when is your Esav? When does Esav rule in the world? When Am Yisrael is busy with eating, when Am Yisrael is busy with lusts of food. Then Esav has a draw and a nursing from the brain. Then he receives the firstborn. He receives the choicest part, the brain, to himself, so to say. אבל יעקב שבר תאוות אכילה ולא רצה ליתן לעשיו שהוא הכבד, שהוא שום יניקה מן המוח, שהוא בחינת בכורה. Yaakov broke away this lust, and he didn't want to allow Esav to have any nursing, any pull, any pull from the brain down to the liver. A complete disconnect from the brain to the liver, so that there shouldn't be a connection there, which is this aspect of the firstborn, the birthrights. He gave to Esav the portion of the ugliness of eating, the physicality of what eating is. When Yaakov eats, he doesn't have, it's not that he doesn't eat, it's not that he's fasting his whole entire life. He just has no desire for food, for the sake of food. He has a desire for food because Hashem created a world that we need to eat in order to stay in existence and for the neshama to be inside the body. So anytime he comes to eat, it's with dveikut, it's with kedusha, it's with ta'ara. It's not about the food at all. It's with consciousness that I am eating right now in order to keep my body alive so that my soul will have the power to serve Hashem on a higher level. Complete holy eating. The disgusting part, the physical part of eating, the lust for eating, he gave that to Esav. Kamosha Bikesh, like he asked, Haliteni na mina adom adom hazeh. Give me please from this red stuff. Al yedei zeh nifrad Esav mina bechora. By way of this, he separated himself from the bechora, from the firstborn, from the birthright, and from the brain, right, from the moach. Umachar bechora birtzono liYaakov shua bechor be'emet. He sold his portion to Yaakov, who he is really the firstborn. He's really the birthright. Because why? Yaakov constantly was dealing with putting the brain over the liver. That is the physical application of being the firstborn. That is the holy way to be living. That's the more spiritually elevated way to live. Since Yaakov was doing that all day long, he was truly the firstborn. Right? This is the main aspect of the true firstborn.
I was going to say, Yaakov must be aware of this while it's happening, right? Do you think
Yeah,
Esau was
sure.
aware of this while it's happening as well? Like, did they both know? Like, did he kind of, like, I'm thinking, like, in the context of the Pshat, like, Esau was coming back from this whole day of physically taking over the world, basically. He became, like, the most powerful man in the world, basically, right? And he's coming back now, and he's like, I feel like if I'm in that scenario and putting my head there, it's like, he finished the most difficult physical task possible, so now what does he have to do? He has to make sure his physical body doesn't die. Because, like, he's elevated that to the highest level possible, right?
No, he cared more. Esav said it outright.
So
right?
he didn't really get tricked or nothing. If we really like look at it,
he wasn't. That's why.
He was aware of this.
And not only
exchange.
that we have different ways. It's taught in different places that we have different ways to make an agreement, a pact, right, or a transaction. One of them is by way of what's called a kinyan, where you elevate. And I give you a pen, right? They do this at weddings. They give you a pen or a watch, and you elevate the pen. Now it's my pen, and by way of this, I'm acquiring the thing that we're talking about, right? To make a physical acquisition of it by way of taking a kinyan, taking acquisition of an object, right? Mm-hmm. The second that Yaakov gave him bread, and he lifted that bread, that was the object, right? You can shake hands, you can write a contract, or you can give something. The second he took that food, he knew it. Again, up until this point, Avram died 5 years early. Why? So that he wouldn't see the next 5 years of Esav when he went off the derech. Up until this point, Yaakov and Esav, up until that day, Yaakov and Esav were pretty much equal.
Right.
They
both had the same potential, probably.
At that point, the same actuality.
Really?
Not at the same place, right? They're holding at the same place and they're able to do the same thing. From that day on, the potential always was there. That's why Yitzchak loved him, right? But the actuality started to veer off the path, right? So at that point, they've learned the same Torahs. They know the same things. He knows these things. How to make a kinyan, that's Mishnah. Little kids learn that, right? They learned that already at that level. They were already holding there at 15 years old that they knew how to make an acquisition and how to do what is a kinyan and everything. So yes, you're right. Esav knew exactly what he was doing, and Esav, that's why he says ve'ivez et bechora. For him, it was like a disgrace. What do I care? Like I care about this first right stuff. That's all spiritual stuff. What do I have to do with firstborn birthrights? I'm not going to see anything from that anyway. Until Abba dies, I'm going to get double portion, okay, whatever, but I'm living in the now and I'm living in this world, and it's all about this world. Who cares what's going to be spiritually? So you're right. Esav, for him, he couldn't care less about the spiritual reality of this world. Like you say, he went out. What's Esav? Esav says in the three things that he did, the three events in his life, right? Rav Meir Eliyahu brings this, I read this morning. Esav, what is it? Ayin, Baal, he came on the... he came on a arusa. He came to be with a. He was
already born. When Esav was born, he's already born like a man.
That's another thing. We're not saying that. Chazak though. But Esav, right? That it's a Rashi Tevot. It's an acronym for it. Ayin is that he came on. He did an avera of coming onto an engaged woman. Right? He took an engaged woman and he killed her husband, everything, and he took her and he raped her. Right? Then Shin is that. He's shikir v'rima et aviv shu tzaddik, that he lied and tricked his father that he's a tzaddik, and vav is that viter ala bechora, that he gave over in the bechora. So these three things, you see the main things that he did. It was filled with sins. He was a liar to his father that he's a tzaddik, right? He came to his dad and said, Abba, how do you do maaser on salt?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't have to, these questions like, come on. Again, Yitzchak didn't know that that's a stupid question.
It'd be a good prank to get to a rabbi, right? Say to a rabbi.
Huh?
It'd be a good prank. Tell the rabbi, how do I separate maaser from straw? They get it, right? They get it for sure.
They would get it for sure, hopefully. Especially this week's Parashat. If you did it this week, I hope they would pick up. Right? So these are the things you see. Esav, for him, for sure, he was all about the physicality, and he gave up his portion in the spirituality, because for him it was like a disgrace. It's like, what do I care? You can't see it, right? And that is the whole entire aspect of what we're saying here. If you're always looking at the physical, if you're always looking at the pleasure of your body, because again, the liver is the most physical part. That's the blood that gets rushing through your bone, right? It's the most physical aspect that you have in your body, right? If you're always worried about your physicality, what's going to be, right? That you choose an apartment according to this, you choose a job according to that, you go to live in a certain place because of that. Everything is about how your physical well-being is going to be. That can't be a life that's going to bring you so much blessing in this world or in the world to come. But if you make proper decisions and you think, you bring into your consciousness, what is right for my neshama? Am I maybe sacrificing a little bit of my body's benefit, my body's situation right now, but it's going to benefit my neshama way more? Am I willing to do it? Obviously not to the point where you're detrimental to your body, or you're harming your body, no? Right? But definitely your neshama is more important. Definitely what's properly intellectually is more important. Am I able to make that decision that is going to benefit me on the level of moach, on the level of soul, and only later maybe it'll help my body? Or do I want to always put the emphasis on my body first?
Would it be appropriate to think of it as just like an additional external benefit that's not from the root of the benefits? Like when I'm working, I always think about I'm getting a lot stronger and a lot healthier by working, right? But that strength is only good if I keep working, and the work's only good if it's for a good purpose. And like I'm learning, I'm making things, if it's good work. So in a way, it's like, can I look at it as like a positive benefit? Like I appreciate it, you know what I mean? Like I appreciate food because it makes you stronger, it makes your body better. Like, but that's for my intellect, not necessarily like my body doesn't really want to just get massive, you know?
Correct.
I struggle with that. I don't know.
But it's not only that. Again, there's the level of intellect that's still physical.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say.
Right? Like you could learn Torah to become wiser. Mm-hmm. Is that the right thing to be doing? No. Right? Even in your Torah learning, there's this aspect of melech, of moach, live, kaved. And even in your Torah learning, if your Torah learning is always only to be wiser, so you have right? To connect them all so that then you're living completely with your liver inside your spirituality. There's levels and levels and levels to this, obviously, right? But even when you come to learn Torah, what's the reason? Moach, which is neshama, which is, right? Again, moach, koach ma, is chokhmah. What's chokhmah? What is true wisdom in Judaism? Koach ma, the power of bitul, the power of saying, who am I? What am I? What do I have? Anything. It's not about intellect. It's not about gaining more or working out your brain. It's just about connecting. It's about realizing that you don't know anything. The more you learn, you realize you don't know anything. Wow. And the more you learn, you realize that you're just nullified completely to the will of Hashem. And then He is intellect and He is knowledge. So it's never really about you. Right? It's always about the soul.
You can nullify the physical, 100%. The tool, but still get greater and greater.
100%. Like a person who wants to go work out or to eat. in order to stay healthy. Why? So that they'll have more energy and more stamina to do the mitzvot that they need to do, right? That they'll feel better waking up in the morning, right? They like to do nets, so they'll be able to wake up for nets and not be burnt out by 4 o'clock, and then they have to take a nap during the day, which all the Kabbalists say not to do, right? It's like waking up at nets doesn't mean you take a nap later. Like it's right? You want to be a healthy person, so why do you go to work out, and why do you go to do anything physical in this world? In order to intensify your neshama, right? And again, why do you want to intensify your neshama? Not for your own benefit, so that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can be served on a higher level, and then you can be doing more work on a higher spiritual level. So again, it's always, there's levels and levels and levels and levels to this, but we have to be in a mindset of, okay, everything I'm doing is for Hashem, first things first. After that, engage my emotions to this. And there's an approach to this. Well, if we go back to Rachel and Leah, Rachel is like the more emotional side, right? But if your emotions are not in check, and if it's all about your emotions, then no, right? And Leah is more on the intellectual side and the physical side. It's kind of like this wrapping, right? So intellectual and physical with the Rachel in the middle, right? So if it's all about intellectually, I need to be going to Shacharit and I need to do it because that's the right thing to do, right? And again, I need to do it. So it's like intellectual with body. My actions and my intellect, what I understand needs to be done, right? And then you could forget the emotional side of it. Or you could do the emotional side of it and you could say, I don't feel like doing it. I feel like doing it, but then you're not doing it with the intellectual side, right? So you want to be a complete kumash lema. You want to be a whole entire structure that is serving Hashem completely on all aspects, right? Doing the right thing with the right emotions and putting your all into it. Getting your whole entire liver, your blood, getting your whole entire blood rushing into the mitzvah, completely being engaged into the actions that we have to do in your life. Let's do another Torah here, and then we'll go into the Haftarah as well. Vayashav Yitzchak v'yachpor et be'erot. It says that, right, last week's Parashat, Avraham dug a well in Breslev, right? And it's funny, it's interesting because he dug one well, and then this week's Parashat comes and tells us that Yitzchak redug all the wells that Avraham dug, right? But really, Avraham only did one, so to say. Outside of here, I don't know what he's going to say here yet, but outside of here, I know that it said that Avraham, his path was obviously chesed, loving kindness. And what are these wells that they were digging? They were making converts, they were bringing souls, they were digging well springs, they were carving out souls and bringing them into sanctity. Avraham's approach was with love and kindness. That didn't last.
Right.
The Pilishtim, the Palestinians, came and filled them all up and blocked all of the loving approach of Avram. Yitzchak had to come back and had to redig these wells with ira, with awe, with reverence, with the respect of the Torah and mitzvot as well, not just this lovey-dovey hippie stuff. You have to be grounded, and you have to be keeping halacha and have awe and care about what's going to be in your life, and care also about the honor of Hashem in this world. And then the wells stayed established. Let's see what Likutei Halachot says. It comes actually from Likutei Halachot on the mikveh. Al ken be'er mayim chaim yakar me'od. According to this, that Yitzchak went back and he dug these wells. We learn from this that the Be'er Mayim Chaim, that the well of living waters, are very, very precious. Ki b'chol makom shemotzim be'er mayim, any place that you find a hole of water, al yedei sheniftach be'er lemala nitgale elokuto yitbarach al yedei zeh. When you find a Be'er Mayim, you find a wellspring in this world, it's a revelation to you that there's being a wellspring that's opened up above, and godliness is being revealed by way of this, like it's written in the books. Ki meimei haborot shenitgalim betoch haaretz hem b'chinat hamshachat chiyoto yitbarach. The wellsprings that are opened up in the land, they are an aspect and a revelation in this parallel of the universe, of an opening and a revelation of the vitality of Hashem, blessed be He, from up above, down below. When there's a well that's revealed down here, so to say, the life force of Hashem, the vitality of Hashem is being revealed in the world. Be'er mayim chaim, it's a water of life, right? So what is the mayim chaim? What is this water of life? It's Hashem's vitality that's being revealed in the world. Shuit barach mechayet kulam, that the fact that Hashem is He who is bringing life and vitality to everything in the world. Therefore, the first forefathers, that their whole entire idea was to reveal godliness and the fact that it's God, and it's not the sun, it's not the moon, it's not this piece of wood, it's not Jesus, it's not any of these people, it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu alone. He's the one that's bringing life and vitality to the world. That was their whole entire job, was to reveal God in the world, that God is the source of life in the world. They constantly were dealing with digging wells. That's what they were doing. They were the ones that started to reveal godliness in the world. Therefore, they dug wells. That is the aspect of revealing godliness in the world. What godliness are you revealing mainly? The fact that Hashem brings life and vitality to everything. Hashem's the source of life for everything in the world. Therefore, we are the people of life, and therefore the Palestinians came to cover up those wells, to cover up godliness. And yes, there's a reason I'm saying the Palestinians are like the Pilishtim, because even though they are not their descendants, the Pilishtim, the word comes from Polesh, that they were invaders from a foreign land. So too, the Palestinians are invaders from the foreign lands. That's why the majority of their last names are Al-Matsri, Al-Saudi, Al-Suri, right? They're not from here, they're from different lands. Yasser Arafat Yimach Shemo, that his yurtzeit is Ilulah. It's not Ilulah that he left this world, right? That his, I think yurtzeit is today, yesterday, right? Yimach Shemo, Yasser Arafat, that he was Bichlal an Egyptian. He wasn't even from here. He was an Egyptian. He saw an opportunity, he took it and ran from it and made a flag. Took the Jordanian flag, took the star out of it, and created a whole entire fake nation. Right? They came and they covered up life. They covered up the godly revelation that everything comes from Hashem, like it's written, "V'chol ha'be'orot asher chafru b'yemei Avraham, aviv sitmum pilishtim v'imle'um afar." All of the wells that Avraham, his father, dug in those days, the Pilishtim, the Palestinians came and filled them up with dirt, with dust. They wanted to ruin and defame and defile the revelations of godliness in the world, that Avraham Avinu brought down into the world by way of chafirot haberot, by way of digging the wells. And Yitzchak came back and he dug them again, like it's written, Now, if we want to take it completely, I'm going out of the book, we want to take it completely in our times, Am Yisrael, coming back to Eretz Yisrael, is a revelation of godliness in the world. Why? Because you see what happened in this land. If you would have came here 100 years ago, there was no trees here. This was like a desert, right? And even less, 67 years ago, there was no trees here like we see right now from our view, right? This was a completely barren land. There's life in Eretz Yisrael now. There's revelation of life. There's development. There's tools that are being created in this land right now that are saving the whole entire world and lengthening the lives of every single human being in the world, making life easier. And again, where is it coming from? Eretz Yisrael. So it could be that there's people in this land that they also don't get the message of how big of a tool they're being for Hashem right now, and they're trying to take the credit for themselves. You hear this a lot. Israel developed this cancer treatment. Israel developed ways. Israel developed this. Israel developed this.
It's an Israeli pride. They're being invested stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The truth is, though, it's all Hashem's revelation that Hashem is using his moach, his intellectual people, his brain, his bechor, right, to bring vitality of Hashem and to reveal that Hashem is behind all the blessings in the world. And when Am Yisrael is sitting on their holy land, and there's more blessing in the world, and there's more revelation of godliness in the world, right? And comes these idiots from the other side, these evil people from the other side, that they're trying to prevent that revelation in the world, right? And they're trying to cover up all of the revelations of godliness. They're trying to fill them up and cover them up. They're trying to remove the revelation of godliness from the world. And they can't stand it. They can't stand it. They can't stand that we finally came back here. We're sitting on our land, that is clearly our land, and we are making the world a better place, right? For Hashem Yitbarach. Hashem is using us to make the world a better place since we came back here. They cannot tolerate it, to the fact that they're willing to kill themselves just to cover up and to fill up these revelations of godliness in the world. Cycles, mamash cycles. But we know Yitzchak, the Midat Adin, V'titzchak Layom Acharon, V'titzchak Layom Acharon, the laughter in the end of the days, right? Yitzchak, who he's the one that brings the Geula. It says, there's a midrash that says, Hashem comes and he wants to annihilate the people of Israel for the sins that we've done. So he comes to all of the forefathers, We were talking about this, right, Shmilu? We were talking about this?
Yeah, was it?
No, I don't know, but I don't know if it was there. But I think we were talking about it. And he wants to come and destroy all the Jews, and he comes to Avram, and Avram says, Avram again, midat chesed, loving kindness, right? But it's the loving kindness of Hashem. He says, listen, their physical bodies, the ultimate loving kindness would be to end their lives and to help them get back to spiritual consciousness without a body where they can't do sins. That would be the ultimate kindness. I think Hashem, you're right. You should take them back up to heaven, take them out of this world. They won't be able to do sins and make the situation worse. Hashem doesn't like the answer. Goes on to Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu says it's the midah of truth. The truth is they went against the Torah. They're deserving of death. That's the ultimate truth. Hashem, do it. Hashem doesn't accept the answer. Comes to Yitzchak Avinu, which is deen, which is deen, right? Hard judgment. And Yitzchak says, which you would think would be the strictest of all, the most right? Judgments. Comes to Yitzchak, your children are not doing right. He says, my children? Are they not also your children? The truth of the judgment is they're also your children. So if they're your children and they're my children, I'll take half of the blame. You take half of the blame. And not only that, they eat and they sleep. They have at least 8+ hours a day that they're not able to do sins. So you took 1/3. I'll take the other third. The other third, they're completely they're completely permitted because they're sleeping and they don't have time to sin. So what's left? Nothing. You took half the punishment, I took half the punishment as the parents, because they're our children. And the other portion of the day, they're sleeping, so they don't even have time to do sin. They no longer deserving of death. That is true judgment. That is true, true deen. And it is because of Yitzchak that Am Yisrael was saved. So in the end of the times, when Yitzchak Avinu is coming, we're going to see that this is exactly what it is, right?
I heard a drash on that too, that Yitzchak is laughing because it's referring to the Tehillim that says that we're going to laugh on the day of
Yitzchak liyam
yeah. And it's from the Shoresh, whatever Mashiach is going to be from the Shoresh of Yitzchak.
Emet. Yitzchak.
I think it's from the Zohar. I had some Shemash Shem Be'evet.
Most likely, Shem Be'evet.
Yeah.
Tov, Aftara. The Aftara, and let's go into a little bit of idea of Shidduchim. Msat Hashem. Everybody that needs a shidduch, get a shidduch. Amen. So, in the Haftarah, there's a pasuk that says, Ki siftei kohen yishmeru dat. The lips of the kohen will guard dat, consciousness. Dat in Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh, is always a language of connection, right? Adam yada et Chava. Adam knew Eve. What does it mean he knew her? United with her, right? Hadat meshadech kol hashiduchim. Dat, also in the tree of life, in the Sfirot, dat is the connection between Chochmah and Bina. The ability of bitul, to nullify yourself to Hashem, and the ability of longing and yearning to do better as a person, right? And to achieve more, to aspire. The connection between those two is what's called dat, right? That's Chabad. What's Chabad? Chochmah, Bina, and dat. Chochmah, the bitul on one side, which is all of Chabad's Torah. Bina, which is the contemplation and the yearning for more on the other side, and dat, which is the application, right? So the dat is the meshadech, is the matchmaker between all matches. Ki kol hashiduchim hem shnei afachim. Every shiduch in life, again, a shiduch is not only marital shiduchim between a man and a woman. A shiduch could also be business partners. It could also be you in a house. It could be anything, any two things that come together, right? But every shiduch is two opposites. They're complete two opposites. That is what makes this match between two opposites. All shiduchim in the world are done by way of the master of dat, of consciousness that there is in the world. Meaning there's one person in the world that's called a bar dat, the master of knowledge, a master of consciousness, and he is the one that all of the shidduchim in the world happen because of him. Therefore, sometimes it's very hard to find your match. Sometimes the two people that need to be mishudach, whether they're business partners or they're couples, right? Obviously, whenever we're talking about shidduchim, it means everything, but mainly we're talking about a man and a wife, right? Sometimes in the world, the two people that need to be matched are very far physically away and spiritually. They're complete opposites Therefore, sometimes it's very hard for you to find your match because she's such an opposite. It's completely the other side. What's the rectification of this? You have to come to the wise man, the wisest man, the Bagdat, to hear Torah from his mouth. By way of this, you can find your shidduch. As long as this power of connection between two opposites is in potential, then it's impossible to connect sometimes these two partners that need to be connected, because they're in a big opposition. One is on this side and one is on the other side. They seem like complete contradictions. They seem like opposites. Sometimes they're really, really opposite. They're completely two different extremes. And then, as long as the power of connection is only in potential, therefore sometimes it's very hard for them to actually connect. Therefore you have to hear Torah from his mouth. Then the dat will come out when you go to hear Torah from the bar dat, where again you are one side of the shidduch, the other one you don't know where it is, you don't know who it is, right? You don't know where your match is, but you're one side of the shidduch. You come now to the bar dat, to the person of consciousness that has the ability to connect, and you hear Torah from his mouth. When you hear Torah from his mouth, then the pasuk from Mishlei comes in, from Proverbs, that says, "Mipiv dat utvuna," from his mouth, dat and tivuna. Tivuna is bina. Bina is the feminine side. Chochma is the masculine side. Let's put it this way: you're the chochma, you're the male. You now come to connect to dat, who is the wise man you're going to hear Torah from his mouth. Mipiv dat utvuna, out of his mouth comes dat, which is connection, and tvuna, which is bina, which is the feminine side. Then when dat comes out from potential into actuality, then he can make the match. Even if they're complete opposites. This is the letter shidduch. What is shidduch? It's Rashi Tevot. It is the acronym for Ki siftei choen ishme'u dat v'torah. This pasuk from the Haftarah. Ki siftei choen ishme'u dat.
My lips will speak.
No, from the words of the Kohen, mean from the tzaddik, the bar dat, ishme'u dat v'torah. They will guard dat, connection, and Torah. This is what it means. You shall ask it from his mouth. You have to ask him to say Torah with his mouth specifically to take this dat, this connection, this ability of connection and consciousness of uniting two together out of his mouth from potential into actuality. Okay, so what is shidduch? Shidduch is, you're going to look in this week's parasha. It's in Malachi Bet, Malachi, in the second chapter of Malachi, and you look there and you see it's this pasuk that we're going to read in the Haftarah, Ki siftei choren ishmeru dat v'torah. The mouth of the Kohen, again, Kohen back in the time of the temple was the spiritual leader, but now without a temple it's still a spiritual leader. Who's the spiritual leader? The bar dat of the world, the tzaddikim of the world, right? That they have consciousness, they have dat Torah, they have dat Moshe, okay? And they are, when they take this, they are dat, right? So when they take this dat and they bring it out from potential inside their head into actuality by way of an action, which is called speaking, right? Then inside of the world comes the ability of mipiv dat utvuna. From his mouth will come consciousness, which is connection, and tivuna. Again, I didn't see it here, but I'm saying this. If chokhmah is the right side, is the masculine side, and bina is the left side, is the feminine side. You, in this case, are chokhmah. You come to connect to the guy, the rabbi, the tzaddik in the world, the kohen in the world, who is dat. Out of his mouth comes dat, connection, ability, and tvuna, which is bina, which is the feminine side. And now, even if you're complete opposites, like chokhmah, which is bitul, and bina, which is itbonenut, which is yearning for more, even if they're complete opposites, you have the ability to connect them. May everybody that needs a shidduch get their shidduch. May everybody that needs healing get their healing. And everybody who needs to come back to Eretz Yisrael will come back to Eretz Yisrael. And whoever needs to come with success out of Gaza and out of Jenin and all of these holes of these Maim Chaim, these Ber Maim Chaim, these well springs of life that are being filled up and covered up by way of the Palestinians, the Pelishtim. May they all be cut off, all these enemies, and the tzaddikim that are fighting them come back. Bri'im v'shlemim. Amen. Ken Yiratzon.